Cool. There we go. Dude, Sam, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been interesting past few weeks actually, but is this it then? Is this the podcast? Did we start?
Yep, we're starting now.
Oh wow,
We
I've
did
never been
a
on
we
a
did a
podcast
test. It
before.
sounds good, so yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, so it's been interesting for you. What's going on?
Well, because I've been through I feel like this happens around once a year where there's like a certain period where I start doubting myself very aggressively. And I feel like I can't do my job anymore and like I don't know how to paint. And I get like really strong imposter syndrome. Um, yeah, and then that's usually the time where I get better, but it comes in waves because I'll get comfortable and then I get lazy and then I get scared enough that like I have like a certain realization like oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm terrible at this. And then I go back to like watching your classes, for example. Like usually the answer is just learning. So I'll just try to go back to like certain learning resources that help me and just go through it again. And it kind of feels like I'm relearning the same things every year, but every time it kind of gets you understand it a little better and you get better at it. I don't know if you relate to that.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, there's a point in time like when you're learning, when you're just starting out, you're like really trying to learn the fundamentals, like value and color and stuff like that. And then I got to a point like I was just everything was about value, telling the story with like light and shadow. And then I got on a couple projects where um, they were pushing the like the render or like the style
Yeah.
of the show. So then I kind of lost some of like the strong value and stuff that I was doing. And I got obsessed with like rendering and like
Dude, I feel like this
detail.
happened to me actually like last year because I was I was working on Lego Fortnite, that the at Epic Games.
Yeah.
And like we had to do these they tend to like more polished images than what I'm used to. And they had more like they were more interested in like seeing something that really looked like the final product. And I was like, that's not really I feel what I'm good at, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And I sort of forced myself for a year to do that. And then I went back to just like normal movie work, and they're asking me to do exactly what I normally like to do. And I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. That's part of why I was feeling so I was having a rough time recently.
Yeah. Dude, I relate to that so much. I don't know, that's kind of led me to try to pick projects that don't like lead me down that road of like
Yeah.
render or like something that's not as important to me as an artist.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of got tricked with this one because I didn't know. Like, I had never worked in games, and I was like, "Oh, that could be an interesting experience, see what it's like." Um, and also, Epic pays really well, so I was like, "Oh, I'll try it." But yeah, it's I don't think it's really for me. Like, because I don't know. I felt very insecure because it's not what I'm used to. I'm always just thinking about the story, and the story didn't really matter because it's more about gameplay and like, gameplay opportunities and thinking about what the character can do here. And I'm like, I've never thought about this. It's so weird to think about it.
I'm sure you like looking back on that, I'm sure you have some things that you learned from and you can kind
Yeah.
of take some of those and apply it to what you're doing now,
No,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. It's always. I think as long as you keep working, you keep learning. Hopefully, but. I do feel much more comfortable in movies, so I'm happy to be back in movie work.
Yeah, man.
Are these are these your brother's painting in the back?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that looks so sick.
I'm at his house currently in New York, and man, you gotta visit sometime. But
Is that the house in the forest?
Um, kind of.
Like,
It's like in the countryside of New
yeah.
York, so not in the city. It's kind of like in the middle of the state. And so yeah, there's like farms. Like we live in a neighborhood. So there's lots of trees. There's a river in the back.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, I'm here for now. And his house is like just it's like a giant museum, just like covered in paintings. Like every wall has a Tad painting.
Are you getting away from LA?
Yeah.
Escaping?
Yeah, yeah, I escaped.
I mean, you're working remotely pretty much all the time now, no?
Yeah.
Like,
Since the pandemic happened, they haven't asked me to come into the studio. It's
yeah.
always been like, oh, you can come in, you know, 1 day a week if you want, or like you don't have to come in. So I was like, all right, I'll get the heck out of here and I'll save tons of money on rent and
Yeah.
taxes. Um, because yeah, like, you
Oh,
know,
because the taxes are higher in California as well, no?
yeah, it's like an extra 14%.
Oh,
So
wow.
on top of the uh 30-40% you pay to the government, there's another
Yeah.
state tax.
Oh, right.
So
Plus the
yeah,
extremely high rent in LA.
yeah, higher rent.
Fuck that.
So yeah, I was paying like 53% in taxes, so over half of
Mm.
my income. And then I was like, what do I get from that? It'd be one thing
Yeah,
if you
what's the
got
point of
like,
being here?
yeah. And then I remember one point, the grocery store next to me, they ran out of meat. It's like every day I'd go in, I'd be like trying to get some like chicken and eggs and like all the food that I eat. And it was always like maybe one or two left over or like sometimes completely gone.
Really? What is
And
there just too many people in LA or
I think well, yeah, I think there's too many people there. But it was like a supply issue. I don't know.
I
But
remember I used to listen a lot to Bill Burr's podcast. I don't know if you know Bill Burr, the
yeah,
comedian.
yeah, I love him.
And you know, like he rides like he drives helicopters. And one of the reasons apparently is that is because he kept feeling like I live in LA, this place is so fucking massive. If some shit goes down, I can't get out of here. It's too big. I need to find a way to quickly escape.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's so scary. Like
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that earthquake that they're predicting, it's gonna happen. And I didn't even
oh,
have a
are they?
car. Yeah, I don't know, every 10 years or 20 years, I forgot what it is, but like there was a massive one like in the
Oh fuck.
90s
Yeah,
or
that's a gamble. Just
yeah,
staying there like, oh, not today, hopefully.
yeah. So I bought a big four-wheel drive truck that'll just it'll get me to where I need to go. Drive
You
over a
can
mountain if I
jump the
have to.
cracks with it.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I was thinking, I was like, when I was like getting ready for this podcast, like I don't even remember how we met. Was it online just like a long time ago?
It was online. I don't know who reached out first, but uh I don't know. I was just a fan of your work for a really long time, and I think you said something nice about like the way it usually happens is like someone that I admire comments something nice on my work, and then I'll just go straight to their DMs and be like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" I made a lot of friends that way.
Cool. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember like just loving your work. And then we did like a road trip together like a year ago. And that was awesome to get to know you more. And then we met up just online and we talked for a bit. And I think we were both like struggling with some stuff in life. And
Oh yeah, a long time ago. Like, what was it? I think it was during COVID, no?
yeah, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going through a difficult breakup, I think, at
Oh
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Uh, well, that conversation like 2 years ago, that was the whole inspiration for like wanting to start a podcast because I was like, man, we should have recorded this. Like it helped me so much. And I was like, other people would be so probably be this would be so beneficial
You know,
for
the
other
worst part is
people.
that I have no idea what we talked about that day. I don't remember. I remember that the conversation was nice, but I
Yeah.
think my memory is just I tend to remember just feelings about something, but not the content, you know?
Yeah.
Do you remember what we talked about?
No. I just remember feeling like really great after that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we can like connect on these things and so that's why we should have recorded it. But now we are. So yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that and thank you for being the first one. So
Cool.
this is
Yeah.
cool.
What's the podcast going to be called?
Uh Zach podcast.
Zach podcast?
Yeah, I
You
think
should run a
so.
poll on your Discord and see if people find fun ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll do that. Because I'll post it next week. So by the time people uh hear about it, we'll already have a name for it.
Yeah.
Um yeah, dude, what was how did you get into art? Like was it something in childhood? Like what was your upbringing like? Was there anything that led you to this road?
Yeah, it's interesting because I enjoyed drawing as a kid. But my big sister, like like a year and a half older than me, she was really good at drawing. So I liked it, but it didn't seem like something I was good at. I didn't perceive myself as like I'm good at this. It's just I enjoy doing it. And I mean I've seen recently some of the drawings I was doing at the time. It was really shit, but I was having fun with it. But like honestly, when I compare this to the stuff that she was doing, it makes sense that I was feeling insecure about it because she was just really fucking good at it from a very early age. Um, and like when she got to and after high school, she just went straight into art school. Um, so that just closed it off even more for me because I was like, oh, this is her thing. This is not my thing, you know? Like in comparison, if I had been the only one drawing, it would have been different. But here he was like, this is what it looks like when someone is good at it and is sort of destined to do it, and that's not me. Um, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I was very lucky to have um, very supportive parents who were like in a financially comfortable enough position to they got me like these sort of meetings with I don't know how you'd call it in English. It's like a career coach or something, like someone who just tries to figure you out and tries to help you find what you like and what could be interesting to you. Um, but like very, you know, it's not like sometimes they have these in schools and it's just like someone who's like, oh, you're good at math, just be an engineer and that's it. It was more like really like long one-on-one conversations and she was making me do tests and stuff. And it lasted for a few weeks. And then at the end, she was like, all right, I've sort of compiled all the results and this is what I get. And it was like basically a 3D school, like 3D art school. I was like, that does sound really dope, you know? Like I feel like I would love to do this, but I would never have had the courage to be like, I want to do this, you know? It's so she sort of gave me permission because she was like, what about this? And I was like, yeah, sure. You know, like if I get offered to do this, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like it seemed to me like anyone would want to do this, but I guess not actually. So like I was, you know, part of the kids who are actually interested in this, but you know, like it seemed so interesting that it felt like, well, anyone would like to, you know, work on video games and shit. Why not? Um, and so I went into this like 3D art school. That was like close to my hometown. It was not really good, but like it got me into made me familiarize myself with the whole industry. And at first I wanted to work on games, and then the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh, animation is really interesting. I like the storytelling aspect of it. Um, and I think it was in second year that I started like painting on Photoshop a little bit, because we only had like 3D classes and then a few drawing classes, but like very academic. Just as like, there had to be some drawing, but it was not the point of the school. And like at some point I realized it takes me 2 weeks to make an image in 3D, and these guys are painting in like an hour, and it looks better to me, like it looks more interesting. So like I would rather do this instead. So the third year we had to do a movie project, like a small, short film in groups. And I I basically took on all of the 2D aspects of the movie. So I did like, the storyboard and the backgrounds and the character designs and the color keys and whatever. All, not very good because I was really just starting out, but um like I found a way to, while staying in the school, just do no 3D at all and just only paint, because I was trying to learn to paint. And then at the same time I was just looking online at tutorials and stuff. And the thing is, I was really not obsessed, but like kind of fascinated by concept art for years before I tried digital painting. So the first time I picked up a tablet, I had a lot of I had a lot of ideas of like what it's supposed to be and how it works, because I had watched a lot of video processes from concept artists of the time and stuff like that. So I think it made me get to a decent level much faster, because I knew what I was getting into, like I was not just sort of going randomly, because I've seen a lot of people, like concept artists, who show their very old work, and it's like for years they're just kind of stumbling in the dark because they have no idea, and they're just kids playing with a tablet basically. I feel like I had this period was much shorter because I knew what it was supposed to look like, kind of. Uh, yeah, and then from then I just I just kept painting. I left that school. I went to do 1 year in another art school that was more towards like geared towards actual drawing and painting. And at the same time, I was taking the schoolism online classes and that stuff.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, and
When
then it worked out.
when you were in the 3D school, were you just like looking at like YouTube videos to like learn how to paint and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. At the time, because I didn't know at the time that there were like actual learning resources. It was just like I think there was a lot of videos from Feng Zhu on YouTube. Like more than 10 years ago. He was doing these like speed painting videos, and I was like, whoa, that's so crazy. How does he do this? And yeah, my first ever painting is sort of trying to emulate this kind of thing with like from memory. It was, oh my God. I
Do
think
you
I have
have
it
it?
somewhere. Yeah. I can find it. Wait.
I think
Um
my first uh my first like digital painter I was looking at was Sparth. I think I found a book of his in
oh,
like our
nice.
local bookstore. And
That's
I
a very
was,
good place to start.
yeah, I had
Oh, I
no
think
idea what I was doing, but like, um,
you have to enable screen sharing if
oh,
you want me to.
oh wow. Sam's first painting. Not bad, dude.
Yeah, I when I found the file, I took a screenshot of the creation date to make sure that it stays as like an archive.
Yeah.
So yeah, March 2013 apparently is when I first tried to So that's 11 years ago.
Wow. You should repaint this now. And then
Yeah, I've thought about it, but there's really, yeah, actually it would be fun to do that.
yeah, that'd be really cool. Like 10 years later, what does it 10 years of hard work, you know?
I think it's not 10 years of hard work. I think it's like there's a good 4 years of hard work in the beginning, and then I feel like I've just been on this cycle where I get really comfortable and then I don't progress, and then I hit a bump and then I have to get better. But like I feel like you're way more consistent about your approach to painting, where you're always in student mode and you're just always doing studies and always trying to learn more. It's really interesting. Is this why you started giving classes, like to sort of stay in the
It's,
mindset?
yeah, that's interesting. I've been thinking about like why, like someone asked me a while ago, they're like, why do you teach? Um, besides like, having some extra like side income or whatever.
It's also more fun than it's more relaxing than working for clients very often.
Yeah, that is true. And I think I think part of it is when you give something back um to the community, to the world, I believe that something will come back to you. If
Mm,
you're a giving person, if I like help people, I share the things I've learned, then maybe someday one of those people, if I need help with something, they'll they'll help me. Or,
for sure.
I like that kind of mentality rather than keeping everything to myself. Like I've worked with people who I'll be like, oh, it's really cool. Could you share your brush or something? And they're like, no, no. They don't want to share
Mm,
anything, or they don't want to
yeah,
like,
I
I'll be like,
remember. I don't know where, but I remember seeing something like basically that someone who is confident in their abilities will never hesitate to share their knowledge, but people who are insecure will tend to cling to what they have as like, oh no, this is my only advantage, you know?
yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause it also pushes you, like you see, like if I share something with someone and they take that and they build off of it, then that motivates me to like push
Yeah.
myself a little bit further and see where I
You're
could go.
training all these people to get as good as you, so then you have fire on your ass, like, oh my God, I need to keep going.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
this is really something that I've been feeling recently is I got too comfortable and I stayed pretty much on the same level, but everyone just keeps improving. So at some point, if you don't improve, you get left behind, which is a really unsettling thought, like that even in like what seems like a comfortable position, you might not be that safe, if you don't keep getting better. And it's also, I guess it in a way it's good because the job also gets really boring if I get comfortable and then I don't like doing it anymore. Whereas like now I'm really enjoying it because I've been learning again and I'm like, oh my God, I get excited about painting, in the morning. I'm like, oh, I do a little study in the morning like you taught me. And I do like a little Tibor Nagy or Mark Burgess painting, and then I get excited about it. Like it's much more fun than just being like, just another day on the job or whatever. So I guess it's good in the end.
Yeah. And me, you, and like just a very small, like little group of artists, we have this Discord channel where we're like sharing what we're working on, like sharing, just like helping each other out. That has been like, uh, I don't know, that's helped me like so much the past like couple months we've been doing that. Like it's been incredible. Like just getting other
Yeah.
people's perspective, like especially working from home and being away from a studio, like we kind of found like a little group of like motivated artists who, um, I don't know, that's just
I've been
been
really enjoying
amazing.
Discord these days, man. Like,
Yeah.
because I was so over social media and I didn't want to go there anymore for the past like several years. And I was really missing the community aspect of it that, there used to be like 10 years ago on Facebook, it was really like, and before that it was forums and stuff, but like this sort of, just little community of people who are just interested in painting. And like, I don't want to know about anything else that you
Mhm.
think. I just want to know what you think about this painting. You know what I mean? Because in Instagram, everything gets mixed up, and I'm like, ah, fuck, I don't want to see that. It's just like too much information, and I can't handle it. I can't process it. There's too much. Everyone is giving their opinion on this and that and whatever, and I'm only interested in, you know, I can have deep conversations about whatever in person with people, but social media, I feel like is not a good place for conversation on, all these different topics. But like for painting is good. So Discord has been really like, yeah,
Yeah.
like this little group that we have, it feels like when I was in school and we had a similar kind of small Facebook group with like 5 or 6 people who were interested in concept art in this art school, and we were sharing tutorials and stuff. And I'm feeling this energy again. It's really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, so you teach too, and I don't know what's something that you've learned through teaching, or like what's something that you teach that's like you found that's like really important for art.
Hmm. I mean, I've only done it once. I mean, because the course I did for underpaint recently is the first time that I did like a long form class like this. It was really daunting at first. Like I got like before it started, I got really fucking insecure and really scared because I was like, fuck, what am I gonna talk about for 8 weeks? I have no idea what I'm doing. And like if it starts in a moment where you don't feel confident about your work, it's really terrifying because sometimes you feel like you know about this shit, and sometimes you feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. These people are gonna find out, and my clients are gonna fire me, and like someone's gonna realize that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I feel like this has been getting way more intense for me as well. Because for the first like 4, 5, maybe 6 years of my career, I didn't feel imposter syndrome. And then weirdly enough, once I had all this experience, I started feeling like I should be better by now. I've been doing this long enough that I should be much better than this. And I think also because you just reach a level where you're on projects where everyone is really good. So like you're seeing other people's work and you're like, oh fuck me. Like every review, I feel like, oh no, I can't show my work after this. This movie I'm on right now, all the artists are really good, and it's very scary.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, going back to the courses, I don't know. I think it's always good because it forces you to reorganize all of your knowledge so that you can sort of give it back in a digestible way. Um, I think interestingly, I was doing a lot of like I was always thinking in terms of like three values for my compositions. And then when I was trying to plan this course, I was thinking about it for like days and days. And at some point, I figured that two values would be a much better approach for teaching that than three values, because three values you can already get confused, and I wanted to really boil it down to even more simple ideas, and like the pure abstraction of only two colors um is yeah, that's what an underpainting is in oil painting, right? Like you just do like the lights and the darks, and the school is called Underpaint Academy, so I felt like it was on topic.
Yeah.
um but yeah, like like it's interesting because it made me realize even for my own work, like wait, I shouldn't be doing these in three values. I should be finding out ways to do it, to plan out my compositions using only two values. So I've actually started doing that instead. So for the past few years I was always thinking like in threes. Yeah, and like definitely just the whole class, I've every time I did a class, I was like, oh, next time I could do this so much better because especially after seeing the homework from people, I was like, oh, maybe this exercise is actually not that helpful now that I see the result. And which like I feel a little bad for people who are there for the first session because the second one is gonna be better.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not like what you do because I thought it was, but Devin told me that when it comes back in session, it's going to be a separate Discord and a separate link and everything. So people who are in the first can't join for the second one.
Oh,
That's unfortunate. I
yeah.
wish they could. But yeah, I made the choice of not doing it myself and going through this school because it just forced me to do it. Like I wanted to do it, but I would have never done it myself. I'm so impressed by this ability that you have to just decide, like, all right, now I'm going to do this. And you just set it up yourself and you do everything yourself. Where is that coming from?
I think I taught at a couple different schools, like, I'd go to, I don't want to start naming schools, but I like schools would invite me to do a workshop or
Yeah.
teach a class and they pay you like a couple $100 or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's great to like get the experience doing it, have everything set up for me. But I started doing the math. I was like,
It's not worth it.
hundreds of people are buying this thing, or sometimes thousands of people are buying this thing, and then they give me like a few $100 to like
Yeah,
do a
that's really
talk.
honestly like some of these like workshop places and stuff. Uh, I don't know. I feel like they get a really big cut of, what we're doing.
And I feel bad for the students, like they pay all this money to go do this thing, like to learn from an artist they want to learn from. Like if I do it myself, I can have like one of the cheapest classes online.
Yeah.
Like it's affordable. And then there's not money going to like this head of the school or like this person and this person. It's like it all just goes to me.
Yeah,
So I
because in
can,
terms of infrastructure, I mean, it's probably more comfortable to watch it on your own screen rather than watching it being projected on a screen in class or something.
yeah. Yeah, so you should, if you are interested in like teaching more and you want to set it up yourself, if you need any help, just let me know.
No, but I'm happy with Underpaint because it's just like I feel like it's a fair deal
Mhm.
and Devin is he's really good at handling everything and I like the fact that I don't have to worry about anything. I just log in and do my class, and then he takes care of all the rest. Um,
And you get royalty as well, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Then people buy the recordings and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's a fair deal.
Um, cool, cool. What makes like if there's like is there like one thing that's like the most important thing to you when you look at a piece of artwork? Um, like what is that thing? Like for me, it's um the number one thing is always value. It's like when I see a
Yeah,
piece and it's like they didn't separate out the light and darks enough. Um, like to me, that's like the number one thing. But what is it for you?
I think it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like the juice, like when I see, and it's something that I see very rarely, so it's even harder to explain because I don't have that many examples. But some people, every time they paint something, it has this special quality to it. And your work is part of it. And another example that comes to mind is Alex Zedig, you know,
Mm.
Alex Dibuan.
Yeah.
He doesn't really paint anymore, but when he does paint, it's even more annoying because he doesn't really like painting, I think, or he doesn't care. He just wants to draw. But when he does paint, it's always fucking mind blowing, and it always feels like it's a combination of colors that is so specific. It just feels like it makes sense, and yet you've never seen it before, but you can almost taste it in your mouth because it's so tasty. I don't know how he does it. I need to ask him, but I feel like he would just say, "Oh, I don't know. It's just like this. You paint."
Yeah.
I think Alex is a genius. So he's got, he doesn't learn like the rest of us. He's a different kind of human. Um, but yeah, so it's like that's the number one thing that I'm interested in is when I look at it's probably got to do with temperature relationships, to be honest, but I feel like I'm not good enough yet to identify precisely what makes it work and sometimes not. But like yeah, I feel like your color choices usually when I see a painting, first I know it's yours immediately just from the color. Even if it was blurred out and I didn't have the brushwork, I would guess from the colors. It just feels like the colors by themselves are really interesting even without the rest. And of course it works because of the value structure and everything. Um, but sort of on an abstract level, I think the I'm drawn to the colors first.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think like I get the same feeling when I look at um uh what was his name? Zedig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the same feeling when I look at his. There's like this juice to it. It's um I I think it is something to do with color temperature. Like the like when I'm painting, every color choice is about like shifting it a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler
Mm,
based on how the light is hitting it.
yeah.
So even if you have like wacky, crazy colors, you still keep in mind like, oh, should this one be a little bit cooler? Or like what happens when it
Yeah.
falls into shadow? Does it get a little bit warmer? And then that makes things feel uh, gives it like a little bit of realism, a little bit of like weight, and something that we can relate to. Like it drives
Mm,
me crazy when a painting is like each color in the painting is like the same saturation,
yeah.
or all the shadows are like the same color. Because then you're you're kind of forgetting about the color temperatures and what kind of happens in nature.
Yeah, I started squinting again recently. It helps so much, man. Like I wasn't doing it out of laziness, I guess. I was just like, I know how to do this shit. It's okay. And then I look back, I squint, and I'm like, oh my God, this looks terrible. So I started doing that again, and it's really fucking helpful.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference.
Um, what what kind of mistakes do you see? Are there common mistakes you see like in artists in our industry? Like what's something that like drives you crazy?
Like working artists or students?
Yeah, either or.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like
For me, it's blue shadows.
yeah, no, I see what you mean. I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, I guess what I don't like is stuff that feels formulaic. Like a lot of like I was gonna say I don't even really look that that much at what people do anymore because I feel like I don't know if I'm just becoming jaded or something, but I feel like 10 years ago there was a lot more interesting work being done, and that now I don't know if it's because of like the homogenization of like, the way social media works and that everyone is sort of learning through the same channels and stuff. But I feel like everyone is doing the same shit and it's really boring. And when you do find someone who does really authentically different personal work, it stands out so much because like everyone else is just a less good version of someone else basically that already. And I don't know. I was talking about it with a friend who's concept artist recently, that we both felt that like there's more people than ever learning to paint, and yet I don't feel like I see as much exciting work as I used to. And I don't know if this is just because I was younger and more easily impressed, but when I look back on that stuff that was from 10 years ago, it's still mind-blowing today, like Theo Prince and fucking Sergei Kolesov and all these guys. Like, where are these guys for 2024? Like, who are the equivalents? I feel like I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think part of it is people following trends on social media. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
this thing is
it has
popular.
to be, right? Like, it
Yeah.
has to be because of social media. Like that, it drove people to sort of chase trends and feel like your work has to look like something else to be good or something. But like we're losing so much. And it's interesting actually because I feel like AI art is gonna sort of put an end to this maybe. Because if you're just doing what everybody else is doing, well, guess what? The computer can do it too without you. So if you want to be different, you're just gonna have to do it yourself.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
That's honestly, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think that the AI art generation thing might be a good thing in the end for art because it's gonna push us in another direction. Because it's like the stuff I see from Midjourney, it's all kind of bland and boring, the same way that ArtStation has been for the past 10 years. And so, they just add trending on ArtStation in the prompts. It's like a meme at this point, but
Oh my God. I
like
didn't know that.
because they do this, it just looks like the same kind of beige, samey bullshit that's been going around for the past 10 years and just sci-fi girl with big boobs and whatever. Um, I don't know. I feel like if people who are doing work that comes from a genuine place of humanity and expression don't have to be worried about these art generators.
Yeah. I,
Because by definition, they can only replicate what's been done before, right? So
yeah. And I think like you see the jobs that are being taken away, it's a lot of like the live action stuff that's very like photo because
yeah.
AI is very good at that.
Mm.
Um, it takes away jobs that are about like rendering and like polishing stuff. So for me, what I've been trying to do lately is to um in my own work push like the storytelling, taking things from my own experience, kind of forgetting about like nice, beautiful, like every paint stroke matters. It's more about just like getting ideas out and um, drawing from some experience that I had because like AI can't do that. The computer can't do that. That's only something that I have
Yeah.
experienced. So that's a way to kind of stand out, I think, and to have job security in this new
I
world.
think so. And even without thinking about job security, like when you think about art as a human endeavor and something that you're trying to spend your time doing, in the end, what is the point? Is it just to make something that is really nice and shiny, or is it, connecting with people and actually, like, I feel like for me it like I guess everyone is affected by this, sudden appearance of the art generators, but I think it forces me to kind of contextualize what I'm doing and to really think about, like, wait, but what is actually the point of what we're doing? What's enjoyable when why is it enjoyable to look at an artist that I like and see his work? And why is it not enjoyable to look at these mid-journey images? Because I have never seen any image that was made by an art generator that I felt, this juiciness and this excitement at seeing. It's just like, it's just noise. Like, it feels, because it's just something that you've seen 100 times before and it's just being rehashed into whatever. But it's like you're not gonna get like crazy excited at hearing the 100th remix of a song by The Weeknd, like you've heard it 1,000 times before in coffee shops and malls and whatever. Who cares? It's never gonna be exciting. It's always just gonna be a remix of whatever. Yeah, I feel like it, slowly but surely, it's driving us to sort of the heart of what we're doing, and like figuring out what's the essence of it, when you remove all the fluffy bullshit of the rendering and whatever, like what's at the core of painting as an experience and as a, I don't know, like something that you share with others.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's really encouraging. That's cool. Have you have any of your recent jobs have you seen like AI be like part of the workflow or anything like that?
My production designer sent me a reference image that was made by AI, but I think he didn't realize, but I could tell. It's just like he probably thought that it was a photo, or I don't remember if it was like a photo or a drawing, but I could tell it was made by AI, but it was just, yeah, for reference, like like when you're just trying to communicate quickly, oh, we need something that feels like this kind of shape or this kind of building or whatever, and then um that's the most that I've seen so far, but I don't know how it's affecting. I'm sure it is affecting other areas that I'm unaware of.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of curious what you think of this. In the past year, a couple projects I was on for from two different studios, they were using quite a bit of AI. These are like major animation studios.
Hmm.
The directors would um, do a bunch of like mid-journey images. And it seemed um, like those images could have been done from a small art team, but they didn't hire any artists. They were just making the director, the producers, they were just making all these images, and then they would hire like one or two artists to then take the things from those AI images and like totally paint new stuff. Um, and I was kind of torn on that because I was like, okay, that's really efficient. Like you don't have to hire a huge art team. You can just generate a bunch of stuff quickly. And then you hire like one or two like senior artists to like do like these nice like paintings for you. But at the same time, it's really sad to see a whole biz dev team basically erased.
Wait, but so what was it, just to pitch the project, or
No, it was further along than pitching. It was
really?
a movie that was being made at a studio. They were storyboarding it. Uh, yeah, it was in the early biz dev phase, but it was um, yeah, they were definitely making the movie.
That sounds like something Illumination would do.
Really?
I don't
Well, I
know.
won't mention
I'm
anyone.
not going to make you say who it was, but they've always been very keen on saving money, so it seems like something they would do. And it also think I don't know, it seems to be like in the long run, this wouldn't be because like again, the problem is like I feel like the general trend of AI everything, I feel like it's gonna disrupt a lot of things. And I might be completely wrong on this, so don't quote me on it or whatever, but this is just how I feel these days, is that there's gonna be a time period where every studio tries to use it and tries to save money. And then at some point, they're gonna realize that the stuff that is made by humans, people relate to it more because it's made by humans and it performs better. And then we'll go back to like I don't know. I have a suspicion that this is what's gonna happen because I don't know. I feel like there has to be something that comes from all the human effort that goes through something like this. Because in the end, you're making a product that works on emotional resonance, right? Like a movie is only a good movie if people connect to it on an emotional level. And I can't connect emotionally to something that's generated by a computer. Like it hasn't happened so far, at least. Like when I see anything that's made by AI, I can tell immediately, and I get this weird uneasy feeling. Um, but I might be wrong. I mean, it might get to a point where that's not the case anymore. But I just feel like in the essence of what it is, it can't it can't be convincing enough for me to think that this is portraying the human experience because it doesn't know what it's talking about. It's just repeating words in the right way, you know?
Mhm. I think it's like how now when we watch a Ghibli movie, um, it connects like so well because like every frame is drawn. There's so much like
Yeah, exactly.
it's like the
And like,
artist's hand is in every little every pixel.
yeah, and I mean the Ghibli movies, they perform extremely well everywhere, like the last one didn't even have any marketing because he has the cloud to just like whatever, take my movie.
Wins an
Um,
Oscar.
yeah, and I don't know. I guess I'm hopeful that people in general relate to stuff made by humans and that this is going to prevail in the end. But I might be wrong. Maybe people just want like quick satisfaction and that's or maybe it's just going to coexist, like there's going to be like I get there's like the I guess the shitty content in quotes, is gonna be AI dominated very quickly. Like a lot of the shitty Netflix TV shows and stuff, it already feels so formulaic. It feels like it was written by an AI even from 3 years ago. Like it already has this predictability and this very boring essence. So I guess yeah, this stuff is probably going to be made by AI. And do we really lose anything? I don't think so. It was already a shit show. But I think that there's always going to be room for the really good movies and for the really good art in general. And if anything, I guess the overabundance of shitty content that comes from AI generators is going to make the good human stuff prevail even more. Because it's like, well, now Netflix has 100 new TV shows every day that was made by AI and it's got every color that you want or whatever. Um, but like if I can do the same myself on my computer, why would I even go to Netflix to do that? I can just generate my own shitty show on my computer. But then the stuff that you can't find anywhere else is the stuff that's been made by people who've dedicated their life to making the best art possible. And when they all come together and they make something together, it's really great. And I think that's always gonna have value. Like even when people are saying like, oh, this thing can generate images faster than you can paint and whatever. This tool is still going to be more useful in my hands because I can paint than in someone who's never painted hands. You know, like the stuff that we've learned over like the past 10 years or whatever, I don't think that gets lost just because a computer can do a somewhat good impression of what it is. Because when it goes wrong, I know why it's going wrong, and the prompt engineer doesn't know, right? Like, so like I don't think, yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely gonna remove a lot of jobs, like what you're saying, but I think people who strive to make meaningful work are gonna prevail in the end. Like if anything, I feel like it's gonna prioritize human connection in art even more.
Mhm.
Like there's been this thing ever since these generators appeared like 2 years ago. I've had a renewed interest in literally anything that is made by a human, where now I don't know, like even if I go to something that is kind of pretentious and it's just like some shitty stuff on a canvas and I'm like, yeah, cool, someone made that, you know, like it's making me appreciate it more actually. Um, I think that's also why I really like art that feels a little bit clumsy, like people who draw in little, like kind of in a naive or kind of wonky way. I'm really attracted to that because I can feel the humanity behind it. And people who do like super rendered paintings, I was already bored by it before, but now it's just like whatever. Like it's reached peak non-interest, you know, like zero.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like if someone has like a weird kind of like sketching like art style, it's so interesting because you get to like peek into their life a little bit. It's like so
Yeah.
personal to them. It's like how did they discover that? Did they, you know, were they like painting outside like um as like trying to capture like the movement of what's around them and they had to like draw really fast and I don't know, stuff like that is so amazing. You know, Azusa Tojo?
Yeah.
She's like the Blender artist. Um,
Fuck, the drawing she's been doing recently. Oh
I
my
know.
God.
Yeah, her and her boyfriend Julian. I did like a trip with them when I was teaching in Japan, and it was so inspiring. Because they're like just drawing all the time. They like always had their sketchbook and drawing and I don't know. I love both of their styles so much. It's so unique. The way they kind of like capture the moments and um, yeah, I don't know. It was inspiring because you that comes out in their artwork
Hmm.
and yeah, you get to like peer into their life a little bit.
I've always felt really threatened by people who do this.
Draw,
You know, like you're just in
draw.
a random situation and they just get out a sketchbook and start drawing, and you're like, well, now I feel like shit because
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I never do this. I hate
Yeah.
it actually. I don't like I don't like sketching. And like when I was in school, it was horrible because everyone always had their fucking sketchbook and they always had like, you know, just all these amazing pages of drawing, and you're like, you don't even feel like you can start doing it too because then they're gonna see your shitty drawings and like, oh fuck, like like there was a weird kind of um you know, constant competition going on with the sketchbooks, I feel. Or
Yeah.
maybe I was only feeling that way because I never did it, probably. But yeah.
Yeah. Man. Dude, if money was no object, uh, what would you do? Would you have your own like um dream project, hire people?
Oh, I
Yeah.
know this one. Easy. I've been meaning to make a video game for a while now. Um, I'm literally thinking about it every day, and I just keep like writing ideas and fleshing out what it is in my head, and then trying to paint concepts of what it is at the same time. 100%, that's what I would do. I would
Uh,
just hire a programmer who's really good, and I would just make him make the game. And like I would, you know, take care of the environment and stuff, but I need someone who can actually code for the character to move around and be satisfying to play. Uh, but yeah, I think I'm gonna do it anyway. It's just gonna be like money will be an I don't know what were we saying? If money was no,
no object.
yeah, well, it will be. But I'm gonna make it work anyway. I don't care. I'm gonna put my life savings into it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure you could find someone who would a developer who would love to.
Yeah, what I'm hoping, like the idea is that I'm gonna make a few images that are really cool to pitch the idea, and then go on Twitter because all the game devs are on Twitter, and just explain who I'm looking for, and then hopefully the right person finds me, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Like I would pay them to just make a small prototype, but like I'm hoping that one day someone likes the idea enough to maybe become partners on it or whatever, and then we can actually, you know, do something together. But it's really, there's no art station for programmers. Like it's really hard to find fucking programmers. I've tried online to look for this, but all you can find is like people on Fiverr who do like really basic shit. And I'm looking for experience, like I'm looking for someone who has the same amount of experience that I have, but in programming, and I have no idea where to find that person. So that's why I'm planning to go the like flip it upside down and just like ask online for that person and let them find me, hopefully.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm sure you will. I hope that happens. That'll be so cool. Is it going to
Yeah.
be like an open world kind of game, or what are you thinking?
No, no, no. No, it's more like you ever played the 3D Prince of Persia games, like Sands of Time?
No, but I think I've seen some images from those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
from like 2001 to 2005. And it's the games that I grew up with. And I feel like there's a hole in the market because no one is doing that type of game. Um, or it's like mostly based on movement and acrobatics, you know, like wall running and whatever. Um, and just, yeah, I have a very specific idea now of what I want to do, but I don't want to say too much about it.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
In private, I could, but not on a podcast.
Okay, cool. Advice for starting out, um, like people's first steps into like trying to get into the industry. Um, like how would you make yourself visible these days?
And honestly, it's hard to say because I did that so long ago that I feel like probably things have changed now. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I'm guessing the main principles still apply, which is if your work is good enough, it's impossible for it to go unnoticed. But it's very hard to get to the point where your work is that good. And that's the main problem, really. Um, but yeah, I mean, what else can you do? You know, you just make the best work that you can and you put it online always. And no, that there is one thing that pisses me off is people who think they're not good enough yet to start posting on the internet. And I think if you think like that, by the time you're good enough, you're gonna start posting, which spoiler alert is never gonna happen. You're never gonna feel like you're good enough to. But even if you did, like now you've reached like Disney level art and you post it online and you have 2 followers. So who's gonna see it? Your mom and your dog are gonna see it, you know? But like if you don't start early, then no one's gonna be there to see you get better. So I think it's really important to like very moment I started painting my shitty speed paintings, I was uploading them to Facebook because at the time it was Facebook and not Instagram, but like now it would be Instagram and just, just sharing them and asking for feedback and trying to get better with each one. And like I think consistency is always the key. Like you were doing those paintings every day at some point, and that's what got you noticed, I think. Yeah, I've never been that prolific, but I did paint a lot at some point, and yeah, just trying to post as often as possible. Because it doesn't mean like the goal is not posting often, it's just painting often. Because if you paint enough, you're gonna get better, right?
Mhm.
Just making quick paintings.
Yeah,
Because taking 20 hours on a painting is 19 hours of wasted time, I think, if you're learning.
perfect.
If by 1 hour it's not good enough, just you might as well maybe try again, and just but it's hard. It's hard to let go and to think like, oh, but I've already put so much effort and what I feel like this could be good. Um, yeah, I think if you understand like value structure and these kind of things, like the painting is good in the first in the first step or it isn't, right? Like if
Mhm.
if it doesn't work from the get-go, it's never going to work. Which unfortunately I keep forgetting and I still fall into this trap regularly, but yeah.
Dude, you know what I did recently, which is so stupid? I feel like I keep doing this. I get like launched on an assignment. I've got like a week to do it. I'll spend like 4 days. I'll like do all my research. I'll like do my sketches. I'll be like, okay, this is an awesome idea. And I'll spend like 4 days most of the week on this one image. And then it's like it's shitty. I'm like, oh, I've spent so much time on this. And then it'll be like Thursday night, and I'm so like pissed at myself. I'm like, oh, how do I fix this painting? And I'll be like super late at night. It'll be like 3 a.m. And I'll be like, I know what I need to do. I need to put this in the trash can and
And
then
start over.
start over. And then that next day, I'll do like 5 paintings, like really like loose and sketchy, but they're all like a million times better than that
Yeah.
first painting I did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I get a lot of this. I think it's like analysis paralysis or something, where like I feel like I have to be so prepared, especially for my personal work, I think, because professional work, I have a little bit of pressure that pushes me to just do something. But my personal work, I want it to be so good. Like my standards are much higher for myself, than for my clients.
Mhm.
Um, but fine, they don't know better or whatever, you know. But for myself, I know. So like, it has to be the best painting I've ever done every time I do something, which is a problem because then I just don't paint because I feel like I have to like it's a problem that I keep running into. Like I feel like I have to prepare everything so that I know this is gonna be a fucking amazing painting, and then I can do it. But then it's never like that, right? Like I guess like the best stuff usually happens kind of spontaneously, I think, and that's why I really admire your constant practice of like just you're always doing stuff, and so great things are always gonna emerge from that constant practice, whereas I sometimes don't paint for myself for like months at a time. And then it's so hard to get back into it because you're like, what makes this painting so important that I'm gonna do it, even though I haven't painted in 6 months, Like, why is this one like it has to be because it's the best one ever? So then I just stay stuck in that loop because it's never good enough for my idea of what it's supposed to be. And really, what needs to happen is just make a shitty painting and then make another one that's a little less shitty. And maybe the third one is going to be decent. And then you're going to start feeling okay about it? But yeah, I keep falling into this trap. It's really hard to get out of it.
I was working with Dice Dasami on a project, and he was telling me this story that he heard, that he read in a book. He couldn't remember the name of the book. Maybe someone who's listening would know. Um, but there was a pottery class, and they did at a college, I think, and they did an experiment where they gave one class the assignment of you have to make a mug and you're graded on the quality of that one mug and you have all semester to do it. And
Mhm.
then the other pottery class, you're not graded on quality, you're graded on quantity. So make as many mugs as you possibly can through
Oh,
the
I
whole
see where this
semester.
is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end, um, the class
You've
that,
made 100 cups, so the 100th cup is fucking amazing, right?
yeah,
Like
or
it has
it's
to
like
be.
every like five that you make, a couple are shitty, but then you'll discover some new different
Yeah.
idea in that one. And it's like, oh, that's incredible. I never would have thought to do that or come up with that if I was just focusing on this one thing.
Yeah. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. I think I'm gonna remember it every time I get stuck. It's like I'm not supposed to do this one painting perfect. I'm supposed to do 15 versions of it, and then one of them is gonna be great.
You know, yeah, always drove me crazy like at work. Like I had an art director one time who would spend like 2 weeks on one image and the far distant mountain rock texture was super detailed and every little cloud in the background was like rendered and perfect. And when he got to a meeting, he would do 10 minutes of like slides of like research and talking and before we even got to his artwork. So then by the time we get to his artwork, it's supposed to be this like grand reveal of this painting that
Yeah.
he spent so long on. And then we finally gets to that slide. It's just like the room is just crickets.
Oh no.
And then
Yeah, like you're
it's like,
bored already before it even starts.
yeah. And then it's like at that point, the directors they have to approve it because it's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
he's done so much work on this thing. And then I remember like me and a couple of the other artists, like when it was our turn to show our stuff, we'd have like 10 paintings and we'd be like, oh, this idea and this idea, um, this color, this story moment. And then the directors could look at all of that and be like, oh, we love that. This is really exciting. We love the design of that. So then we take that information back and we touch up a couple paintings or we combine a couple ideas and we've explored so much more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, dude, next to art, what do you enjoy most in life?
Hmm. People, I think. Just um I mean my friends and my girlfriend and yeah, like anytime I'm not doing this, I just go out for drinks with friends. Um, I live in a like for US standards, I live in a very small town. For France, it's one of the biggest cities in France, but it's still like quite small, relatively. Like it's human sized, you know. So I can just walk around everywhere or just take my bike, and I'm a 5 minute ride from basically anyone else, right? Um, yeah, so just I don't know, going out and seeing friends.
Do
And
you still do that like the dance party thing in the woods?
it has been a while. I think they're planning to do one, hopefully, because it's getting sunny again. It's more fun if it's sunny because there's very shitty weather where I live. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I this past year I got really disinterested in partying in general. I don't know if it's because I'm turning 30 this year, but like I felt like a very steep decline of like I just want to go home. Actually, I'm fine here. I can watch a movie or so I've been more into like having dinner parties and like cooking something nice and inviting friends over and shit. Like, cause I felt like I've gone through this so many times. Like the partying and the staying up all night and being really hungover and whatever. And not that I don't enjoy it, but it just feels like an experience that I've had so many times that there's very rarely anything new happening. It's just the same stuff over and over. So it feels like time to move on to something different, or at least not do it as often as I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I started working out again though, because fuck man, I
it's
was yeah, like this winter has been rough, like the losing confidence in my work and everything, it goes in pairs with, I think, physical fitness. Like my mental state is very, very related to how much exercise I do. Um, yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm too stressed at work because I feel like I'm not good enough, so I don't have time to, because I do gymnastics, like with the fucking flips and whatever and the parallel
oh, I didn't
bars
know
and
that.
yeah, I got back into it uh two a year and a half ago, like just before we did that just before I came to see you. Um and I just stopped going like 2 or 3 months ago. Um, Not really sure what the excuse was, I was just too lazy. I was just like, I can miss one and then two. And then at some point I realized I don't even think about it anymore. I just don't go. And no working out, no anything. And I was just eating really shitty, like a lot of snacks and sugars and whatever. And my concentration got so bad. Like I just felt like I physically couldn't focus anymore. Like I was trying to do these paintings and I was really stressed because I wasn't confident about what I was doing. And also because the project I'm on is really fun and I'm really happy to be on it. And I felt like, fuck, I don't deserve this because I can't do anything interesting. Like they're gonna kick me out and I'm gonna miss out on this opportunity because the project is, great and whatever. And yeah, eventually it got bad enough that I was like, all right, I know what I'm supposed to do. And I picked up the weights again, basically, I just because I have these look, if I frame it like this, you see here,
Oh yeah.
I have the dumbbells. There's a bench on the side
Wow.
here. So I have everything I need to work out in my room, it was literally, I'm not kidding. I had to take the vacuum cleaner and like hoover everything on the dumbbells because there was like a thick cover of dust on them. It's like a movie, It was like actually I hadn't touched them for a year and a half probably because I was doing the gymnastics and we do a lot of working out in the sessions, so like during the training. So I felt like it was enough, but actually I really missed the simplicity of just repeating motions, and like it gives your mind a lot of time to clear and to process things. And it's like forced meditation in a way because it's like, well, for this 1 hour all I'm doing is picking up these weights and putting them back down, and at the same time I don't put any music, nothing. I want to enjoy the silence and the fact that finally nothing is happening and I have to be okay with it. because it's I get so easily addicted to like, the constant streams of information and video games and internet and all of that. I'm really addicted to YouTube because I stopped going on social media. So now I just have YouTube.
Mhm.
I don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't have TikTok or whatever, but I do have YouTube and I fucking love YouTube because it's just so interesting. Like I don't watch, I only watch like 10 or 20-minute videos on whatever fucking subject, like there's so much quality content on YouTube. I can't stop. Yeah, but so, I'm very happy that I started working out again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's awesome
it,
to hear.
but it was almost comical, like my work just instantly got better. Like the
Wow.
next day, I was like, fuck, I can finally think clearly again and I know what I'm supposed to do, and it just gradually came back. But it feels like I was dead for the past 2 months.
Dude,
So
you know
yeah,
what?
you're
That's
catching me at the
so,
right time.
yeah, that's so good to hear because I totally relate to that. And there's like some really horrible trends. I don't know if it's in France at all, but in America, it's there's so much like uh, like, oh, if you go to the gym, you're like toxic masculinity or whatever. Like, there's all this
Mm.
negativity around like fitness and stuff.
Yeah, I think,
And
yeah.
it's been
No, I
such a
see what you mean.
positive thing in my life. It's like this is not a negative thing. Like,
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's a social media thing where like everything gets put into boxes and like because a lot of really toxic people are also really into working out, it somehow gets conflated, like, or I don't know what's the word, but like it gets associated with it, and then it has to be this. But it's just like, I guess, the nice, kind, quiet people who enjoy working out just don't make as much noise, but they're here. Like
yeah.
it's really fucking good for you to exercise. I mean, um, yeah. No, I
I
see, but
s-
I see the idea, but I think it's just, do you feel like this is happening in real life, or do you just see this on the internet?
I've just gotten like some hate messages.
Or on
I'm
Instagram?
yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
fuck.
and
Because
then
you post gym pics or what?
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I gotten some hate messages, and then on Twitter, I don't think I've ever really posted a picture of myself. But I posted a picture of myself, like I wasn't like it wasn't a gym photo or anything, but I was wearing like a tank top,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was kind of obvious that I worked out or whatever. Um, and I instantly lost like 100 followers. I just saw them. I was like, oh my gosh, people are this like that's
That's
crazy.
weird.
Yeah. But I don't care. Like I know it's a positive thing, and I love seeing like other artists who like work out and stuff. It's like, man, it's so encouraging and cool. It's great for your
Yeah, no, I
health.
mean, and even like I do gymnastics, the more muscle I have, the better I can do at gymnastics. So it also helps on that end. But really, literally, like I used to do it for aesthetics. Like I was uncomfortable with my body when I was younger, and like there was definitely something of like I want my body to change. Now it's 100% mental health. Like I don't give a fuck about what my body looks like anymore. I just want my head to feel fine, and I want to be able to focus when I'm trying to do something. I want to be able to, it's also like this. I'm really into David Goggins, like he really helped me when I was struggling a few years ago.
Mhm.
And it's always this idea of like if you create enough artificial difficulty in your life, then all the real difficulty just seems so tame in comparison because you
Yeah.
just get used to getting through difficult things, even though they're completely arbitrary because it's literally just you forcing yourself to pick up those weights. It doesn't mean anything. It's completely random. And like it's almost funny. We're just here like picking up stuff and putting it back down.
Mhm.
But the fact that it's difficult, that's the point for me. Because then when I'm painting and it's difficult, I'm like, yeah, but I can get through it. It's okay. Whereas recently, when I was not doing any exercise anymore, any small hurdle, any bump in the road, I felt like, oh, I just want to give up and go, eat a Mars bar in front of the TV, and it just makes you really unhappy. I think it made me really unhappy.
Yeah. I saw someone online kind of complaining. They're like, oh, getting into art is so hard. Like I don't have like the I wasn't like mentally stable to I wasn't like mentally there to like get myself to like go to my classes and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is like horrible. That is someone who's never had to like experience anything difficult in their life. Um,
I mean, I guess
so
it depends. We don't know that person. They might have, hidden difficulties in their lives, but
yeah,
if
true.
the only difficulty is actually going to class, that might be a bit much.
Yeah. But it's like the fact that they're like making all these excuses for themselves. And it's like what you said, if you can you do something really difficult, like going through like what it takes to actually like put on some muscle and um, you know, get through a whole workout, like that is mentally really difficult. If you can do that, then all these other little things, you're like, oh, it's easy, it's life, I can do it.
Yeah, it is really enjoyable because, yeah, I think it's just like I see it as human practice, like I'm practicing to be a functioning human being. Because then when I'm like, oh, I don't have any more food in the fridge, I need to go grocery shopping instead of going to get a sandwich next to my place, which is going to be unhealthy. I can do the extra effort because I don't care about the extra effort. But if I'm in this very lazy mode of thinking, then I'm always going to go for the easiest, more accessible option, which is always going to be worse for me. And then I get stuck in this loop. So like I feel like the constant difficulty that comes with working out is just like it could be something else, but for me working out is just the easiest way to get that difficulty in my life. If there was another way, I might do it another way, like maybe there's a better way to get it, but to me it just seems like that it's the most accessible option to have a, an easily prepared challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like going
It's
running is similar, like you just have to pick up your shoes and go running, it works.
yeah. I I recently like my brother's really into rock climbing, so I decided to go with him one day, and it was a similar thing. It's like it's you use totally different muscles, and
Yeah.
it's like a new skill. It's kind of like figuring out a puzzle, and it's like really really difficult. Um,
It's really fun. I do a little bit of that because some friends are really into it, and I used to do it a lot when I was a teenager. Um, yeah, oh, I'm starting to get confused with my English. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
you, you sound good. And something else I started doing, with my like workouts, I like keep a journal now. So um, like just with chin ups, I started doing, I could only do 4 sets of six, like full range of motion chin ups. Now I'm doing, and then every time I try to push myself to do like one more, and now I'm doing
Right,
four
right.
sets of 10. And then I look over the weeks, I'm like, wow, I'm doing like I can do so much more.
But you never did that before?
No, and
Like keeping track of the
I know I
because
should have,
I feel like that
but
was also a big part of it for me when I was working out a lot was to like seeing that progress. It's
Mhm.
like even if everything else in your life is going to shit, you feel like you're making progress on this and it's very encouraging. Like
Yeah,
it's a steady progress that it doesn't have the same sort of artificial roadblocks that you can have in other areas of life. Like, maybe your work is really good, but you can't get hired because it's not the right time for the industry. Is always the right time for your body to get better. You can always, like there's not really, unless you get sick or something, which is different, but like it's a very reliable source of progression, like feeling like you're progressing.
Yeah. Um, do you, I think that like if I don't feel like I'm progressing in something in life, like I just go to a really dark place and I start getting like really depressed. Like if
I'm not surprised.
my art isn't progressing or like
Yeah.
I'll be like I'll just cut everyone off. I don't respond to anyone. I'm just if anyone has to be around me, it's probably not fun. But it'll be like that for sometimes like a week, a couple weeks, and I just have to like figure it out in my head. I just have to like fight through it some way.
That
Um,
explains a lot, honestly. Like as to why you got so good, because you just have to constantly be, because that, and I don't actually get that. So um if I feel like I'm doing good, my natural inclination is to just stop working. Because I'm like, well, I'm good, I'm doing good. Why should I do more? And
mhm.
then it works for a few months, and then I start panicking because I feel like I'm behind. So I'm always on this roller coaster.
It doesn't you don't let it like affect you to like that level as much, right?
I mean, I'm really good at being satisfied, I think, with what I can do and where I'm at. And then I get like a rebound effect, like really strong. Like after a quite long period, I'll be like, oh my God, fuck, but if I had been working harder for all this time, I could be there right now and I could be doing so much more. And it's like, like now I want to do this video game and I'm like, oh, but if I had been saving up more money or learning more 3D or whatever, I could be making so much more progress right now. And now I'm here, and because I got lazy and complacent, and I was just um so I don't know. It's hard to it's hard to
Yeah.
balance, I think. I try to in general just be like, it's okay. Just now you have this new goal, try to work towards it, but don't go crazy over it because I think most of my satisfaction in life comes from other things, like mostly from seeing the friends and like the people I love in general. And that makes the art and career side not as important because as long as I can pay my mortgage and live comfortably, I'm okay on that side. I don't know. Ambition is a weird thing because I usually don't have it and then I have it really strongly all of a sudden. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll be very happy where I'm at and very comfortable, and then suddenly I'm like, oh my God, but I want to do, usually from looking at where you're at, a lot of times I think, because I'm like, fuck, like how many movies has Zach worked on? Like in that same amount of time, I've worked on like two movies.
Mhm.
It feels like, what am I doing? But I guess, in French we say comparison is poison. I don't know if that exists in English, but
No, but yeah, that's good. You
like
shouldn't.
in the sense that your focus should be on, without context, are you happy with what you have right now? If yes, then don't go looking for confirmation that you're not happy online or whatever. And I think that's why Instagram is so damaging, because it just constantly makes you feel unsatisfied. Like if Instagram was filled with the daily life of people in India and Africa, like people would not feel so bad about their lives, in the West. Like you would be every day like, fuck, my life is fucking amazing. Look how
Yeah.
comfortable it is here. And that's all you would be thinking. But that's not how it works. Like it rewards the highest fucking crazy shit. So all you see is like people who are extremely wealthy and extremely fit and extremely whatever, attractive and shit. And then you just feel like terrible about your life.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think you're right. Just like trying to limit social media as much as possible because online it's like people are using filters like in the fitness industry. um People are doing like steroid use is
Yeah,
so
all of them are like
yeah,
all these huge guys. Of course, they're on steroids. It's like,
it's like kids are starting that and like they're like teenagers,
yeah.
they're doing that just so they can like look good on social media. uh, it's yeah, it's crazy. um what was the best advice you got from a mentor or friend?
Regarding art and painting,
Yeah.
hmm. I feel like this advice probably came such a long time ago that I don't really remember it now. So I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, there is one thing that I always remember because I have it on a drawing right here. Look, I'll show you. 'Cause, like when I was a student, I was really into the paintings of Mike Azevedo, who is a Brazilian concept artist. Um, and I got to meet him when I was like 20, I think, or 2021 maybe. And I was really just like in the beginning of learning how to paint and all that. And he's I saw him in this convention in Croatia, this art convention, and he actually spent like a few evenings with us, with me and my friends, like just being very generous with his time and giving advice and looking at our work and giving feedback and stuff. And he told us about the idea of painting with courage and the fact that it's very easy to get scared by your painting, you know, and even though like it's not even like we're actually painting like your brother is on canvas, you know, like we're fucking painting on Photoshop, but we're still so easily scared of like, oh, I have to be, you know, careful. And I was, as a student, I was really fucking scared of painting. Like I was using a lot of layers and stuff to keep everything editable until the end and just being able to go back and never commit to anything. So he made me this little drawing and it says, have courage always.
That's
Very cute.
awesome. Wow.
And I keep it by my bedside, as you see. Um, yeah, but I think I'm still trying to get there, you know, like to really paint with courage, like with decisiveness and strong intent, and just being like, I know this is right, and I'm putting it down. It definitely helps to paint on one layer. I've been doing that for a few years from your impulse, um, your influence, but I still get scared so easily, you know, like what is there to be afraid of? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Being bold and direct. Yeah. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie you've seen recently?
Oh my God, this fucking Scavenger's Reign. Have you watched it?
No.
It's an animated show from HBO, and it was made by this insane team of artists. There's a lot of really, really good artists on the show, like designers and animators. Like everyone is fucking top of the game. but no one's heard about it because all the budget went into the actual production and not marketing, I guess. Um, but it's so good, dude. It's I think it's probably the best animated TV show I've ever seen.
Wow.
Um, is like there's just one season so far. I'm hoping they do more, but I don't know. It's like like the idea is just that you're on a foreign planet and there's a bunch of people who crash landed on the planet and they're trying to survive. And the show is as much a TV show about the sort of struggle of these people, but half of it is also just a nature documentary about the wildlife and the plant life of this alien planet. And the amount of like insane, crazy, original, creative ideas that they have for every episode, like it's so dense that I'm really excited to watch it again actually, because the first viewing I kept zoning out because there was so much new information constantly that I was losing track of the story, you know? Because like they it's really hard to explain, but if you watch it, you're gonna understand immediately what I'm talking about. It's just like they'll show you like a plant, and the plant does something that is such a strange and weird idea, but it just makes sense in the context of that world. And you're like, oh wow! And then this plant in, you know, they show you all the interactions of the biosphere and like how do the animals interact with the plants and the plant life with the underground and whatever and the rain and you see this whole ecosystem where everything is interconnected and it feels so cohesive, like it makes so much sense even though it's completely alien and it doesn't look like anything you've ever seen. It's really really fascinating, and then the story just, you know, plays into that and it's connected to that as well. It's so interesting. Amazing show. Scavengers Reign. Go watch it, everybody listening.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds like totally up my alley too. I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, and the color design is from Agathe Leroux, which is a she's a French color artist who's really really good. Uh, and she has like a very abstract conception of color. I remember I worked with her at the line once, and it was very hard for me to relate to what she was doing because I look at color in a very analytical and naturalistic way, and she has a completely abstract approach to it, which is just like this color looks nice with this color. I don't care if it makes sense. And she was the lead color artist on that show, and you can tell like the colors are really amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Um, what advice do you have with relationships? Because being an artist, like we're weird, we have like weird schedules. Sometimes it's hard to like turn off the art brain, but any advice?
I think I think people who really appreciate you don't care about that stuff, you know? I guess the advice is like if someone is giving you a hard time for doing what you like, then maybe don't keep seeing them. You know? Like it seems like that relationship is not worth it. I don't know. Like everyone in my life is very supportive of what I do, so I've never really had any trouble with that. Um, but it does help that my girlfriend is an artist, and so like we have a very similar sort of interest and schedule and all of that. Like if I want to draw in the evening, she's gonna be like, cool, me too. And that's it, right? It's very easy. It's not like, oh, but we were supposed to go to the movies or whatever. It's just like, yeah, cool, let's do that. And we're both content drawing next to each other.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. Um, what makes a good versus bad art director? I'm sure you've had some bad ones and some good ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty lucky, I think, in general. I've had pretty much like mostly good experiences. Um, but I do have a preference for an art director who can explain what you need to do instead of showing it to you. Because some art directors will just do the actual work and just be like, all right, do this. And you're like, yeah, but you did it already. Whereas, like it makes me feel like I'm not sure where I come in when they work like this. Um, and yeah, I think the at Locksmith I was working with a production designer called Justin, and I really like this guy. Um, it was really nice working with him because he he paints a little bit, but not that much. He does more 3D now than painting, I think. Um, and I think he comes from live action originally or something, but he had like this very high level abstract vision of what the movie should look like, and he was explaining it to us. And then I felt like I was figuring it out instead of him showing me what it was supposed to be. And it was so much more engaging and more, like it made me feel really important and valued in the process. Whereas if you feel like stuff has been figured out visually already, like it's harder for me to be like, all right, so I need to do this, but not this. Whereas if he just explains it to you and there's no images, then you have to imagine what that looks like. And yeah, I think like good artists don't necessarily make good art directors.
Yeah,
Because like I think that interpersonal skills as well are probably more important than art skills in that job. Like it's more about being able to communicate with the artist, make them feel like I don't know, like it looks like a fucking tough job, like sort of you're always trying to get the artist in the right mindset so that they're going to produce the best that they can. And I don't know, I've never done it, but it looks really hard.
yeah, that's that's a good point because just because you're a great artist definitely does not mean you'll be a good art director because
Mm.
you think that that's the path that you go. You're a biz dev artist for a while, and then after you get some experience, you work on a few movies, then maybe you get to art direct something, and then you do that for a little bit, and then you production design something. You think that that's the path, but what I've realized is if you're going if you're going to be an art director, you have to really love being kind of the person that joins the meeting and does all the talking,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
to say to certain people, how to move things forward. It's a bit of like playing the politics. Uh,
I was laughing before because I remembered instantly like the moment you got the art direction job at DreamWorks, and I sent you a message like, why are you doing this? You're not going to paint anymore. You're just going to be in meetings all day. And you were like, nah, it's going to be fine. And then 6 months later, it told me, I quit. It was shit.
oh my gosh. Yeah, my schedule, like it's like laughable. Like 9 a.m. meeting straight till 6 p.m. Just
Oh my God.
30-minute meetings, hour meetings. And then they ask you to do all these assignments. So after a day of being burnt out, the
Then
burnout
you
from
have to paint.
meetings, yeah, the burnout from meetings is like
Yeah.
much different than the burnout from art.
Oh
So
God,
it's
I can't
like,
imagine.
um, yeah, it was hell.
I get tired from just 2 meetings a week.
Yeah,
Like I feel like, oh fuck, an hour and a half, that was too long. Like the whole day, I can't imagine.
yeah. Yeah, so it's a special kind of person that should be an art director. And I've art directed some smaller things, and it's been incredible. It's been like a really cool experience. Like that war is over short.
Yeah.
Uh, that one is just a few meetings a week. We basically just had to touch base with Weta, make sure.
Yeah, because it was a smaller team, right? Like it seems like it would be more enjoyable than like the big studios. There's so much studio politics involved and investors and whatever. Like
Yeah,
you have to please everybody.
yeah. I don't know how much money they'd have to pay me to like art direct at like a major studio again.
Yeah, dude. Patrick O'Keefe, who's art directing the fucking Spider-Verse franchise, like I feel like every movie is gonna take 10 years of his life, you know? Like that must be so insanely stressful handling all of this at once. He's doing a good job apparently because it looks incredible, you know, but like fuck man, like managing so many artists and so many different styles and I don't want that stress in my life, bro.
Yeah. He's super good at it, and he's one of the best like art directors, production designers I've worked with. Like he's someone who he's really good at like coming into a meeting and knowing what to say and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, he's I don't know, he's built for that kind of job, I think.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I guess we kind of maybe we touched on this a little bit, but how do you deal with being on a bad movie? Like if there's a project that you're just like not motivated for, you push through it, you
I think if I'm not having fun on a project, it's always my fault because it means I'm not finding ways to make this enjoyable for myself because I'm painting. At the end of the day, I like painting when I'm good at it. And if I don't like painting, is because I'm not being good at it. I'm making shit work. You can make like you've seen Peter Chan's work on the fucking Smurfs movie. It's fucking incredible. Like he
yeah,
doesn't care that it's the Smurfs. He still makes a fucking amazing painting. That's that's what I think about when I feel like the project is not fun enough or whatever. I'm like, wait, but this is not true. Like I'm I'm the one who's supposed to make it fun. That's actually my job. If the project is not good enough, it's not because I'm not making it good enough, right? Like you can take the worst possible idea. Look at the fucking paintings you did for Scooby-Doo. Like they made me want to quit concept art when you released that. And I tried to watch the movie. I lasted for I think 90 seconds and then I had to turn it off because it was so awful. But like the fucking art that you made on that movie, I still look at it regularly, you know? And I get really pissed because I know it was your first movie and I was like, fuck, how does he do that on the first
oh,
movie?
man. Uh,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
well,
think yeah, it's our responsibility to make it fun for ourselves.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a couple like silly like kind of comedy movies that I worked on, and it's just like, oh, the art direction is kind of bad. Like everything's just like saturation, like color in your face. Um, and yeah, I would get like frustrated so quickly because I like moody, like action adventure stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right. You gotta
I
like
have
let
another
it
example. I have another
go
example.
for
If you
it.
feel like you're on a bad movie, go look at Zedig's work on the fucking Emoji Movie. Fucking
Oh yeah,
bangers. Banger after
yeah,
banger. And it's the fucking Emoji Movie, but everything he touches turns to gold. I'm never gonna watch the movie. I don't care. But I love the work that he did on that movie. It's really good.
yeah. You are so right. Um, what do you do about like kind of shitty coworkers? I don't know if you've ever had any.
I've never had that. I mean, first I work only remote.
Mhm.
The only time I've worked in a studio was for Klaus, and it was just an amazing team of young, motivated people, and we were basically all friends, and a lot of them are still friends that I see regularly. Um, I don't know, man. Like I feel like people are really nice in this industry. I mean, or I've been very lucky, maybe, but so far I've always really enjoyed the people that I've worked with. So I have no idea how I would handle that, honestly.
Good. Well, that's good. Um, I think for the most part, people are like super nice in this industry. We're all like artists just trying to make something cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Like people are generally just excited about what we're doing and happy to be there, you know?
I think yeah, every once in a while there'll be someone that, there'll be the guy who's like stomping around the office because he's upset about some decision they made and he's like swearing and um there's like situations like that which just make everyone uncomfortable.
I've had that.
Yeah.
I've had that, but he was my friend, so it was okay. We would talk about it with him and he was bitching about everything. Um, but it worked out in the end. I think it's just people's personalities, but if you see where it's coming from, it's okay, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy actually, the one I'm thinking about, um, it's a very fun story because he was basically always mad about the decisions they were making for the background team on Klaus. And at some point, he was like, he went to the art directors and he was like, guys, I'm going to stop complaining if you just make me the head of the background department. And then I swear I will not complain anymore. I will just take care of it. And they were like, okay. So he got a pay raise. He became the background art department lead and he fucking crushed it. I mean, you
Wow.
can't deny, so like he was right to complain because it was leading to that, like he had to take the matter into his own hand.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, are you someone that sets goals for yourself? Like I'm someone I need to like figure out my daily goal. Like usually I figure out the night before so I know what I need to accomplish the next day. Kind of have like my goal for the week, my year, my
Wow.
life goal.
I've literally never done that.
Really? Have you ever
Neither.
thought about like a life goal for yourself? Like what, like
No.
like old Sam sitting in a like rocking chair,
No,
like
because here's the thing. If I set a life goal for myself, then it becomes sort of predictable because I'm just gonna aim towards that. I mean, I guess in a way, my life goal now is to make this game happen, but it's more like a 5 to 10 year goal rather than a life goal. So my life goal is just to have a fulfilled, happy life with people that I love. I don't really care what happens in it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite, honestly, compared to you. I think I just tend to, I will literally wake up in the morning and be like, I have no idea what happens today. Let's see.
oh my gosh.
So that's also why, I tend to forget to practice and stagnate, and I don't progress as fast as you do in painting.
I wish I could
I
just
get
take
very
like
comfortable.
10% of your chill and then
Yeah, we should exchange a little bit of each other's
yeah.
brain and become more balanced.
Mm. Um, mm, yeah, I was kind of asking because like my life goal has kind of changed throughout the
Hmm.
years. It used to be to like progress and stuff through the animation industry. But then it simply changed to just being the best artist that I can be.
Yeah.
So by having that kind of in the back of my head, I can choose projects based on that. I'm like, okay, this project, it might be more money. Um, but is it gonna make me a better artist?
Oh,
Maybe
right,
not.
right.
So I will take this project because I like the artist a lot on it, and it's gonna push me.
Mm. Yeah, I heard you. I think it was in your class recently that you said that like your only goal is to become the best painter that you can be, and that everything in your life is sort of geared towards that goal. And it had an impact on me because it made me think, like, because I never think that way, I was like, wait, isn't that my goal as well? Should I be doing, like it really made me question some of my habits and everything because I was like, wait, but am I really doing anything towards that? Like, do I want to? Because I think if I don't have that kind of goal, I get dissatisfied at the same time. Like I don't have the impulse to do it, but then if I don't have a goal and if I'm not trying to get better or anything, then I get restless and I feel like something's wrong and like I need more or whatever. Um, and on the flip side, I know that when I'm really doing my best and practicing and getting better, that's when I feel the most fulfilled in general. And like everything else seems to fall into place a little bit. But I think for so long, painting was associated with social media for me, so it was a really hard relationship to the medium itself. Because I felt like when I was painting, it was for Instagram, and so I didn't want to work for Instagram, so I didn't want to paint anymore. And like I've struggled for like 2 years with this, and now I'm at a point where I've been away from it for long enough that I don't really think about it anymore. So it's good. I can paint again, but it definitely used to be a problem.
Is you Do you feel like you had to post something to like get likes and
Oh yeah, I
stuff?
was I was a drug addict, like plain and simple. I was just I when I was painting, it was not for the enjoyment of the process. It was because I was looking for the next high of like how many likes can I get with this? And everything would be geared towards not how can I make this a better painting per se, but how can I make this get more attention online? Which is like really like a perversion of the painting process. It's really weird. Like that's not how it's supposed to work. And it also doesn't make your work better, I think. It just makes it maybe more visible, but not better in itself. So like this is why I think this is why people tend to think that my career is better than what it actually is. Because I have a lot of followers on Instagram because I was chasing that attention for a long time. But I haven't worked that much for big studios or stuff like that. Like because I think my work is just not there yet. But it a lot of people I think feel like I have all this recognition, so I must be in the whatever top of the industry. Um, yeah, I think I like the image that I project maybe is a little shinier than what actually happens.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's like I think the best work we can do is when we forget about all that like extra stuff like online and social media, everything. We
Mm-mm.
make something purely for ourselves. Um, I know like when I do that, I'll be like really happy about something and then I post it online and it'll be like the least liked thing I've ever posted. But I'm like, oh, this piece is like awesome to me.
But
Um,
that's so hard, right? Like it
yeah.
feels so like to me that's always been really hard, and that's why I'm very hesitant to post anything online now because once I do post, it changes the relationship that I have to this image because now I'm seeing it through the lens of other people's expectations and their approval. I find it difficult to stay on the like a now I tend to wait like a really long time before posting something. So like I know what I feel about this image, you know, and then maybe 6 months later I'm gonna show it to people or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I tend to just like do something, post it, and then I might not like it as much like a week from then, and I'll like delete it, and then it just goes into my folder of like work that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Do you worry about money being successful, and what does success mean to you?
I guess that kind of ties back to what we talked about already. Like the not really. I mean, I live in France, which makes um the concept artist wages really high in comparison to the cost of living here. Because the industry is based in LA, right? So if you live in LA and you're a concept artist, you can get by. If you live in where I live and you're a concept artist, you're very comfortable. So I don't really like, I think it gives me the luxury of actually never thinking about it. And I don't really know how much money I have at any given point, and I don't really care because I know it's enough, and that's the state I have the luxury of living in, and I think that's the best luxury that I can have is not thinking about it. When I need something, I pay for it, and that's it. I don't really care about anything else. Now I'm starting to worry a little bit more just because I want to pay people to make a game with me. So it becomes like a much different, you know, like I said, that's a sizable budget. Um, but for daily life, I mean, I bought this apartment that I'm in, and I'm paying back, you know, quite easily the loan, and that's all I care about, really. I'm fine. But then success is, I don't know. I would consider myself successful right now because I'm working at a studio that I really like, Locksmith Animation in London, and working on a really interesting project with really good artists. That's all I want from that career. But then on the personal side, like more of my own goals, uh, like my ultimate goal would be having a self-funded indie game studio, which is weird because I've worked in animation pretty much all my career, and I didn't really like working in games last year. But it would be completely different if I was the one making the game, you know, and I was calling the shots. Because it just occurred to me at some point, like, wait, I work in animation, but I very rarely watch animation, but I play video games a lot. And I really fucking enjoy video games. And I think about video games and their design and their like design philosophy and how they're thought and how they're conceived and all that. I think about that so much more than I think about animation. I'm just much more into it. I feel like it's because games can have everything that an animated movie have, but on top of that, it's interactive. So it seems to me like it's a no-brainer, you know, like it's just so much more that's possible. Um, And in terms of like, because the rendering engines have gotten so good, like Unreal Engine can do anything you want now. So like there's no limit to like even in terms of compositing and everything, like you can do all of that, but in real time. That's so exciting to me that you can have like you could 100% do something like that looks almost like the Spider-Verse movies, but make it real time. It would take a lot of work, but there's nothing technically impossible because the speed at which they render things now is so insane that you can make anything happen. You can have 10 different post processes happening on the image after it's rendered and it still plays out in real time, and it's part of why I'm so excited about this game project because I've been experimenting with Unreal Engine and trying to replicate sort of my painting style in the engine as a 3D moving thing, and like it kind of works, you know, like it's so exciting. And everything is dynamic, like the lighting is completely dynamic with the bounce lighting and everything, and the possibilities are just mind-boggling to me. It makes me so excited. Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
long answer to just say I want to make a game studio.
yeah, that's so exciting, man. Yeah, I can't wait to get like a sneak peek at what you're working on
Yeah,
someday.
I'll try to show you. It's also because
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's good enough to show anything yet. You know, I feel kind of um shy about it, but it's just like the potential that I see.
Mhm.
It makes me so excited, but I kind of want to get a better proof of concept before I show you.
Yeah. Man, dude. Yeah, that was all my questions and everything. I don't know if you have anything else, but
I don't know. How are you doing?
yeah, I'm good. Just what am I up to lately? Yeah, working on Spider-Verse, uh staying in shape, um, doing my workouts, doing a little bit of climbing with my brother.
Wait, so
Uh,
are you long term in New York like right now, or did you leave your apartment in LA?
yeah, so like over a year ago, I left LA. Um, I moved to Sedona, Arizona. Um, I lived there for about 6 months,
Is that where you bought the house that you showed me? No, that's in Ohio.
close,
No?
close to there. I bought a house in the state right above, in Utah.
Oh,
Um,
Utah, right.
yeah,
Not Ohio. Sorry. I get confused with the US states.
yeah,
Yeah, Utah, where we went to that fucking shady ass, super spooky hotel, right?
yeah. It, what was the guy? He was like a cult leader or something.
Yeah, dude, he was married to like 30 kids or something. He's insane.
Yeah. Well, um, yeah, so I bought a house like on top of this mountain with this insane view with just like mountains. And my first day up there, I saw a moose, tons of deer, and my neighbors were talking about this family of bears that live in the mountain behind me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to kind of do that. So I don't know if I'll be there year round
Wait,
or
but
if
so
it'll.
you were in Arizona for 6 months?
Mhm.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
You're just renting a place there to.
yeah, because I knew I needed to get out of LA, and I was like,
Yeah.
let's pick like a beautiful place to go. So I went to Sedona, and yeah, that was really cool. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna look around this area, try to find a place.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, and right now the reason why I'm at my brother's place in New York is because um they're fixing a couple of things on the house right now. They're putting in it was a little underpowered, so they're putting in like a bunch more solar panels.
Oh,
Um
cool.
they're putting in a well because it's pretty far away from civilization, so it's not
Yeah.
like connected to the grid.
Need to be a little bit self-sufficient.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
just getting
good
it
though. That's
all
fucking good.
all set up. So when I move there, I can just do my work. I can just enjoy it, not worry about that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. Um, so I'll do a road trip back there with the cats and all my stuff, and yeah, probably a couple months.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna say, and you're coming to Europe as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and so yeah, I'll see you probably in a month or two. I'm doing a couple workshops in Europe, and I've never been to Europe, so it'll be really cool.
Dude, yeah, we have to plan around that. Uh, how long are you staying?
I'm not sure yet.
'Cause you're going to
I'll,
Sevilla and to Netherlands, so it's like you have to go through France to get from one to the other first. And it would be a shame to come to Europe and not see France, I think.
yeah, yeah, maybe I can stay a couple of days by you, and we can chill, and you can show me around or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you have Tom also in the in more in the south, in
Oh yeah.
Grenoble. Yeah, and you have to go through Paris, I think, just to visit. And I am my friend Justine has like a gouache painting group that they go out painting regularly and stuff like that.
Oh
Um,
cool.
I think there's a lot of people you would enjoy meeting in Paris probably because there's a lot of like a lot of the artists are concentrated around Paris because that's where all the animation studios are.
Yeah.
But it's a much more enjoyable city than LA is.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
we'll
man,
do
that's
some
exciting.
sketching and exploring and yeah.
Yeah, Zach's first time in Europe. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you're going to Spain as well. Oh my God, Spain is so fucking amazing. I really want to move back to Spain because I miss it so much from when I was working on Klaus.
Oh, so you moved
Me and my
there for that job?
yeah, yeah, but me and my girlfriend are hoping to go live in Barcelona for a few months at some point.
Wow.
We're trying to make that happen. Hopefully, it's gonna happen.
And she works remote too.
Yeah, she does like comic books and illustrations.
That's cool, man. Dude, thank you so much for your time and it's yeah, it's always so great talking with you. I'm always like inspired and your outlook on everything is really good. I'm gonna try to take some of your chill.
Yeah, I try to take some of your work ethic. It's been working recently though. I've been doing my little studies in the morning and stuff. It really helps. I'm glad that you're here as like a role model for my career. Not for real, because I think it's quite impressive that I feel like I'm following in your footsteps in many aspects. And I feel like you're kind of a trailblazer in the way that you approach the industry. Like you came in with such a different style that people were not necessarily expecting, and you were like, no, no, this is cool, check it out. And it ended up being, you know what I mean? Like, because the way you paint, that's really loose and very like at the time, I feel like almost no one was doing that. Like I didn't see it that much, and it didn't seem like the right thing to do. But then you kind of proved everyone wrong in a way. I don't know. I've always been very impressed by the way you did that.
Yeah, it's weird because I didn't know I had a style or anything for like years and years until people started telling me that, and then I was like, because I never thought about style or like how I was
Yeah, I mean, I
painting.
guess it's not really style. It's more like the approach that you have, which is going for very loose, very, like not focusing on rendering at all, and instead completely focusing on just the fundamentals. Um, I think most people don't tend to go that way because we all get um, attracted to the well rendered, like when you're starting out, it just seems like, oh, this is why this painting is good. It's because the rendering is good, but that's actually the opposite of what's happening. But I think like it feels like you understood that very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if I really understood it as much as just like that was the only way I could make images at that time.
Mm,
Um, and then I think through my career and different movies I worked on, then I started to kind of realize what I was doing. And when I would like step away from that, I would like try to come back to that because I would see my work going in like a not so good direction, and I'd have to like reel it back in.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that's an interesting like observation. It's cool.
Ooh,
Yeah.
how long have
Well,
we been talking?
probably a long time. I don't know. I don't remember when we started, but uh
I don't think anyone's gonna listen to this, but I'm glad we had this chat.
yeah, we'll see. Dude, thanks for being like an awesome friend and an inspiration. And um yeah, and we'll keep in touch and we'll do this again.
Cool. Thank you for having me. I'm very proud to be the first on the podcast.
Yeah. First one we
I
did
hope there's many more.
completed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you when you come to Europe, man.
Yeah, definitely. Um, all right, dude. Have a great night and we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Cheers.